Oh, it helps when I don't have a box on top of my transition button. I need to be able to see things. Okay. Hey guys. Hey guys, I'm Ray, and we are streaming blacksmithing. Welcome in, everybody. I think I see Mahalo, and I see Corwin, and the Alexis Project. Good morning from Australia's top end. 4 a.m. here. Ooh, 4 a.m. That is super, super early. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the community. We are, literally just getting started. So today we are going to be continuing to work on our hammerhead. It's taken us a little bit of extra time to punch the hole in this hammerhead. It's just being a little bit stubborn, and part of that is because, you know, it's taking a while to heat up the big old block of steel, and part of it is because my press is a little on the small side, so it's taking a little bit of extra time to get that extra effort in. It's also kind of a thicker brick. I think maybe if I had started by like processing the steel a little bit, maybe it would have been easier, but I mean, these are things that we are learning. This is our very first hammer, and so, you know, every mistake that we make is a new lesson, and we'll be able to take that lesson into our next project. So I'm still looking forward to this. Like I said, we have already learned so much. Not yesterday, it would have been Wednesday, we learned that we can actually stop the press, and that makes it a lot easier to go down, or for the press to go down. Evening sandwich, worldwide audience, yes. Mahalo says, turns out banging on stuff is popular all over because Corwin says worldwide audience here. Yes, we definitely have a worldwide audience here and on YouTube, and it's so exciting to see all of the people from all over the world. I learned so much about different cultures and different types of people from this lovely community that we are starting to build here. So I look forward to meeting all of you and, you know, hanging out with you guys. I have to admit, though, that today I was feeling really run down and kind of tired. Not terribly tired, like physically I feel all right, but I feel a little bit worn down today, mentally, I think. And so I was looking at YouTube, and I had a couple comments on the YouTube videos that were like, you know, you are doing so great. I love these videos. I'm going to keep watching. And I mean, that gives me the motivation to come out here and keep on keeping on. And I really needed that today. So thank you all for the support that you give me. And I just so much appreciate all of your support and talking to you guys and, you know, the community that we've built. Minnesota. You, Ray, and I are Midwestern trio. Yes. I am from the Missouri and Illinois border, and about an hour outside of St. Louis. So, you know, Midwestern girl here, and I came from the Quad Cities, which is on the border between Iowa and Illinois. So, you know, Midwestern through and through. Although I was born in Texas. So, I mean, you know, I lived for my first 3 years in Texas, and then we moved back up to Illinois. So, I mean, I'm central time zone through and through, I guess. All right. I just moved from OZ, or to OZ from Texas about 3 weeks ago. Haven't caught the stream since I've been here because the time diffy. Yeah, the time difference is a lot from Australia to here. So, I mean, it's like the other side of the world. So, I appreciate that you are here now. And, there's always the VODs that you can check out, on both the Twitch channel and on YouTube. So, maybe if you can't be here live, you can be here in spirit later. So because I wanted to heat up the brick a lot sooner, I started the forge about 15 minutes before I started streaming. So we're actually starting to get a little bit of glow on that brick of steel. And so hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be able to get started a lot sooner, and therefore maybe we'll finish putting that hole in the steel. So I'm really excited about that. I want to work on the next process. And I'm really starting to think that we might have to make another tool. So the tool, or I think that I might need to make a fuller. So like a spring fuller. So we'll kind of see if we need to do that. It shouldn't take too terribly long. Basically, I will just be cutting a piece of round stock, or sticking it in the forge, bending it over, and so that I can put a separation between the hammer eye punch or like the hammer eye hole and the head of the hammer. So we might be doing that today if we get this hole all the way through. Let's see. I've got some more comments. You guys are really talkative early. As a tool to make a tool, a meta tool. Yeah. This summer, it's all going to be making, or tools to make tools to make tools. So the hammer that we're making, that, and the hammer eye punch and the drift that we're making, we want to make those, or we wanted to make those so that we could make a axe eye drift and an axe. So by the end of the summer, I really, really want to make an axe. That is my goal. And when I say by the end of the summer, that's probably somewhere in the middle or end of September. I know that is starting to get into fall, but it's still relatively warm in this area. So I'm not entirely sure how quickly I can get these done because, like I said, these are my very first attempts at these tools. And I don't know what's going to happen between now and then. So we're going to do our best, and we're going to keep on chugging. So we got to wait a little bit further on this steel because it's still a little on the cold side. So I do actually have a couple updates for you guys. My first update of the day is a van update. So my partner came home yesterday or not yesterday. Yeah, I mean, he did come home yesterday. But he came home and he told me that he was able to get a hold of the guy who is in charge of decommissioning the work vehicles. And so what has happened is they are being forced by human resources to get it appraised by a dealership. So the dealer that they're getting it appraised by has actually skipped two scheduled meetings to get this thing appraised. So they are now in the process of arguing whether that means that the dealership does not want the vehicle or if they need to draw it out further to actually get an appraisal. So hopefully, fingers crossed, they can resolve that argument and I will have something for you on Monday. I don't think that's a very fair assessment because, I mean, if he skipped both of the appraisal appointments, then he probably it's not important to him and maybe he doesn't want it. So one of my partner's friends is arguing that because the dealership didn't want it at all, that means we get it for free. But I doubt that's going to be the case. Hopefully they just save everyone's time and sell it to you. That would be so convenient and so nice. Because I want to get it done and over with because there are so many other things that are kind of waiting for us to figure out if we're going to buy that van or not. And really the only reason that we've waited as long as we have is because they were going to sell it to us for $1,000, which means we don't actually have to get a loan for it. So, you know, it's either you get a bank loan and have to pay that bank loan over, you know, whatever amount of time, or we can just skip the bank loan and have the vehicle. So it would save us a lot of money, but, you know, I don't really want to drag my feet for forever. So, and once we figure this out, then we are going to be able to figure out like how soon we can purchase a new laptop, because the one that I currently have, as most of you know, will no longer be operational in October when they stop supporting Windows 10. So fingers crossed we know by the end of today about the ban, so we can kind of pull the trigger on either saving or purchasing the laptop, because I really am tired of all the frame drops and the screen going black every 4 seconds on this stupid laptop. Sounds like middle management time wasting just to waste time. Yeah. You are clearly a severe dihydrogen monoxide addict. I am a severe dihydrogen oxygen addict, you know, with my water here. I am kind of addicted to it mostly because it is super, super hot today. And I'm just afraid that my kidneys are going to shrivel up like raisins. So, you know, I do my best to stay as hydrated as possible. So I always like to joke that, you know, a lot of streamers, like gaming streamers and other types of streamers, they are like Tamagotchis. You kind of have to redeem points to get them to like sit up straight, or, you know, drink water, or, you know, take a break, you know, rest their eyes and things like that. I try not to be that sort of streamer. And I mean, you guys are amazing. You kind of Tamagotchi me in other ways. Like, you're constantly reminding me to refresh my clips on my records and things. So I mean, I guess I'm still the Tamagotchi, just not quite that sort of Tamagotchi. Welcome in, Boston. We got heavy rain and a cool off today. Hopefully it'll get to you later, although you're further south. I'm north of Des Moines. And then Sandwich says, I find it always a bit weird to tell streamers when to drink. I also do not tell people when to use the bathroom. See, I think that's weird too. It's like some weird parasocial thing with chats and streamers. I try not to be that bad. All right, I am gonna flip this steel over so that it can heat on the other side, and get it a more even heat. And we'll see how this works for me today. There we go. So we've got plenty of heat on the close side now. So now we need to get some more heat soaked into the far side, the one that's closest to the burner. Windows 11 problem could be solved by using Linux. The hardware is dying or just doesn't cut it with OBS. Linux obviously does not help either. And then Boston says, how are you? I'm actually I'm pretty okay now. It took a little bit of motivation to get me out here today, but now that I am out here, I'm enjoying myself already. So the reason that I have not used Linux is because I've really only used Red Hat Linux, and it was really not as intuitive as I wanted it to be, and a lot of other programs are not usable using Linux. Um, so I just kind of feel like a new laptop is, you know, a good idea. I'd like to be able to edit on the new laptop. So all of my YouTube videos and stuff, because right now I'm using my gaming PC. to do all of my edits. So I spend so much time at my gaming PC, and I feel like I need a change of scenery because it's just not conducive to my brain or the way my brain works when it comes to working, I guess. I feel like I need a different room of my house. So, and then Linux does not actually support um, the Resolve. I use DaVinci Resolve as my editing software. So that is not supported on Linux, unfortunately. I did a blacksmithing demo last Saturday in Darwin, 7 a.m. till 1 p.m. I was worn out for 3 days. That would wear me out too, I won't lie. I come out here and after about 4 hours, I just need a shower and to just sit and veg for the rest of the night. So, I mean, good on you though. I love doing blacksmithing demos for live audiences, either on Twitch or, in person. It is so much fun. It can be a little bit nerve-wracking. Like when I do it with actual people in front of me instead of cameras, it's different. At least, I mean, when I'm talking to you guys, there's a camera in between. So it's basically I'm talking to an inanimate object and then like chat just pops up from nowhere, right? So, I mean, I do have images of you guys in my head, like how I imagine maybe that you look and stuff, but it's not the same as when there are like literally people staring at me, I think. Have you ever done knives? I have done a couple knives. Um, Two of the knives that I did were just like the basic blacksmith knives, where it's like a little knife and then you have like the little tail. You just make it out of a railroad track pin. Um, and then I did make one Damascus billet, and I turned that into a folding knife. I don't know what I did with that knife though, so I really can't show it to you. It was not a very good. It wasn't very good overall. Um, it was like the bevel kind of curved a little bit, and it was just not a good knife overall. And it doesn't like click into place when you fold it, so it was constantly just like swinging back and forth. So it's kind of dangerous when your knife, doesn't lock into place. All right, we are almost to the point where we can do another heat. My massages travel the furthest, I think. Or my messages travel the furthest. Doing live is much easier than at a festival. See, I think doing a live or like live streaming is easier. But yeah, I don't know. Boston, where are you? I mean, we've got someone from Australia today, so that is pretty far. I know that there are a lot of people from Germany and Austria, so yeah, where are you from, Boston? Or you don't have to dox yourself if you don't want to share. I'm not going to like force you to. The Netherlands. We've got a lot of people from the Netherlands. I feel like the time zone for the Netherlands and the stream line up perfectly for like your prime time, like just before you go to bed. So I do get a lot of people from the Netherlands in the stream. So welcome, the Netherlands, or people from the Netherlands. Also people from the US, people from Australia, all over the world. A laptop is always a compromise between capabilities and computation power and size power consumption. You can for sure get more power also for less money in a desktop. That's what I mean. Live streams are easier. Boston, you're in bed. Yeah, like I said, the laptop is so that we can take it in the van, and it is also so that when I'm streaming, I don't have to leave a desktop in the shop to get full of dust and dirt and steel shavings. I think a laptop will last far longer if I can you know, only bring it out here when I'm actively streaming, then bring it in the house and dust it off between streams. So that is the idea with that. And I think we're actually going to start our first heat. So, you know, let's do this. Oh, wait. First, let's bring... Oh, it helps when you turn on the air compressor. Let's bring down the air compressor. Or I mean the press. We are bringing down the press. Ah, not that. Alright. And then that. Okie doke. I have to do this first, don't I? It helps when you guys can see what I'm doing. Okie doke. Oh, and we're stuck in here again. That's been happening lately. There we go. Much more better. Alright, now I'm going to focus on this side right here. On the opposite side is the one that I had just done. At least I'm going to try to anyway. Oh, come on. There you go. It's in there. Yay! Short Googling says you can get Resolve running under Linux, but it's worth the trouble on old dying hardware is a different question. I understand the laptop for streaming. The comment was rather using a laptop instead of the gaming desktop for cutting. An English grammar question. Shouldn't it be much more better? Much more better is very incorrect grammar. So a good friend of mine always says much more better, and yes, it should be much more better if I'm even going to use that phrasing, and that's a very awkward phrasing. So it's kind of more like I don't know, a learned phrase from just a friend that was trying to be funny. So yeah. Unfortunately, you know, I mean, it's like, you know, the idioms and all kinds of craziness that the English language has, slang and whatnot. And it's a very, very individualized slang. Like I said, it's really just like a couple people that I hang around with sometimes. Greetings, Ping. Welcome in. Better was the question. You have to boost every word to. I have to boost every word. Yes, I do. Definitely. Or I could just use, you know, a stronger adjective, you know, or I guess adverb. You know, a stronger descriptor as besides better, because better is like incredibly generalized, and there are several other adjectives that, you know, synonyms of better that would be more specific, but you know. So I apologize. I'll try to use a little bit better grammar, but I mean, I don't know. I guess it's just the way I speak. When I was in grade school and junior high, I used to use a lot of really big words because I read a lot. And then a lot of my friends didn't understand what I said, so I had a tendency to kind of stop using the larger words a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I should put a few more back in my vocab. I like Old Hickory Forge's nothing to it, really. When he's swinging away at obscenely heavy hammer. Yeah. I think Dave Jones from EE Vlog says more better. I don't know. Maybe it's a more common phrasing or like turn of phrase than I imagined it was. I don't know. I got it from a friend. Maybe she got it from someone else. You never know. Ugh. Ooh. I accidentally put the brick like really far back in the forge, and it's gotten a lot hotter really quickly. It being that far back, it's going to make it a lot harder to get it out of the forge in general. But I mean, it worked for our purposes. Couple more, a minute or so more, and we'll be able to go back to the press. Exciting. The guy you rated on Wednesday was saying much mo better too, was he? John is good people. I hate that he lost his house last year in the storm. Ooh, that's not cool. There's been a lot of storms and a lot of people have lost housing and livelihoods recently. Um, and it's been really difficult to get funding and insurance for a lot of different people lately. So I wish there was more that I could do, you know? It is a stereotype that Americans tend to use stronger, more over the top words than Europeans. So, where a German would call something good or I dislike it, an American would call it totally great or I hate it. Yeah, we have a tendency to be very extreme with our opinions on things, and it's not necessarily that our opinions are as extreme, but we do word our opinions very severely. So I don't know. I think it's more of a culture thing, but I do know that it kind of when you use such extreme language, it kind of desensitizes people, you know. So when it is a cause, or when you do have a cause to have extreme language and extreme emotions, it's got less impact, and that is why I use explicitives, like the F word and that sort of thing. Usually, when I'm using those sorts of language, that's my extreme emotions. I try not to use those here though, because I want it to be a family friendly stream. Any particular reason for not hand punching the eye? The reason that I am not hand punching the eye is because I have a chronic illness and it saps my stamina prematurely. Like I have long hauler COVID. So in 2020, I was one of the first people in the U.S. In the area to get COVID, and so nobody really knew how to treat it, and so it just ruined my lungs. And for 4.5 years, I could almost do nothing. So I am trying very hard to push myself and to get that stamina back, and to train my lungs better. But uh, I do wear out very quickly, and so by using the press, I can stream for a longer period of time. So that is why I'm using the press right now. I'm hoping that there will be a time where I won't have to be so judicious about where I spend my stamina. But for the moment, because I want to do a longer stream today, we are using the press. Same here. If I'm swearing, it's either because I'm really mad or I'm quoting something. My wife thought I had COVID when the doctor said I had pneumonia back in early 2020. They wouldn't let me test for COVID. Yeah. Around here, they wouldn't let you test for COVID unless you were being hospitalized in the very beginning of 2020, when it was just starting to come to the United States. And so it was months before I could even be tested, and by that point I almost didn't even have any antibodies left, so I didn't really get a proper diagnosis until much later. All right, let's do another heat. All right. I think we're gonna do this side here. And I'm gonna put that right there, and then I'm gonna have to pull this up because the punch won't go under the grip or under the press. Yes. There we go. Also easier to get a straight eye. It kind of is a little bit. Um, kind of. For the most part, yes, Pink. I think it's a cultural language thing. There are several videos on this, like American-German partnership. The American partner says they at first always thought the German was just politely saying they disliked something when calling it good, but instead they meant it was good, and that's great in American. And then you could tilt the billet with the punch and kind of wedge it under it, and you'll already be lower starting position with the press, if that makes sense. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm trying to do. Sometimes it doesn't really work as well as I want it to. I am trying to tilt the piece of steel, but that last time it did get caught under there because so I've started punching from both sides, and one side is significantly deeper than the other side. So the first heat was on one side, and then the second heat was on the second side. And so because it's so much shallower, the punch could not get under, it couldn't tilt back up, if that makes sense. So we are trying to use that method, and we have Sandwich to thank for, reminding us that that's possible, or, teaching us that that was possible on Wednesday. But thanks for the reminder. I can always use reminders because I have, sometimes I have a lot on my mind and I don't always remember everything that I need to. So thanks for the reminder. Swear words are also a cultural difference. You will hear people using the F word over here pretty much without any concern. Yeah, the F word, there's a lot of people who don't like the use of explicitives in cultural in the United States. So it's not really culturally acceptable to use explicitives in like work settings and school settings and things like that. So you got to be really careful, you know, what setting you're in and tailor your language. So I try to tailor my language to more of a business casual sort of, you know, style of speech here at least because I want to be family friendly. Ads. Yeah. Making hammers is my favorite thing to do. I only have access to charcoal here out or in the outback and have yet to try heating a billet that way. And then swear words are used as verbal comma here in the warehouse. Yeah. I never know who's getting ads when because they've started doing the mini ads where it used to be like all the ads were on the big screen and then the little screen was always, the streamer. And now they've switched them, so I never know when you're getting ads and when you're not. So I apologize if I am talking through or answering questions or whatever while ads are going through. Just let me know. I will try to repeat things if you guys need that. I try. I'm gonna start my camera there. I really want to catch when we get all the way through that hole. All right, are the ads done? It looks like the ads are done. Awesome. So yeah, I try very hard, but like I said, I never know who's getting ads and who's not because, and I still really feel like I need to continue doing, some form of entertainment during ads for those of you who are subscribers and Turbo users. And subscribing and Turbo, Twitch Turbo are definitely amazing like tools to be able to not have to watch ads. I try not to, do the interesting stuff during it though. What was I saying? So you should be able to heat a block of steel in a charcoal forge. A lot of people who use charcoal forges tend to use a side blast blower, though. And there are some plans that you can find for those online. The most common one that I see is the one that they use for katana making in Japan, where it's like a wooden box that has like a hole in one side, and then you kind of have this like plunger. It's like a wooden plunger with a handle, and you like pump it like this, and that's how you get the air into your charcoal, and it seems to work beautifully for making katanas and blades and things like that. And I think that it actually works a lot better than using a underblast for charcoal, especially because when you have an underblast for charcoal, it you tend to get a lot of like ash and stuff that like flies upward, and that can be a problem in certain areas. Let's see. Curie has ads once an hour in a defined time window, as far as I understand. Yeah, right now I have like it's supposed to play ads every 30 minutes. It's supposed to play 1.5 minutes of ads. But I have found that sometimes those ad blocks are shorter because there are like the little banner pop-ups, and like I said, sometimes there's the mini ads. So I never know when or how long people are getting the ads. I just know that I have it set for a minute 30 every 30 minutes. All right, we are going to do another heat. And then I'm gonna grab some more water from the water bin over there, and then we'll keep on keeping on, right? I see. Ads can always be shorter if there's not enough spots to be shown in the window. Yeah, they can. So I never know when the ads are going and when the ads are not going. I try my best to judge, but sometimes they make it really hard. Whoops. I lost a thing. This side. I want this side. Whoa, it went all the way up. Whoopsie. I didn't mean to do that. So we're not going to get quite as much time right this second. All right. This one. That's what I want to do. Come on. Goodness gracious. There it goes. Pull down the punch. That's the bad part about this particular style of punching the hole, because I am getting a lot, or like the punch is coming into contact with more heat. And so what that means is that, oh, come on, get in there. Is that, that'll work. Sure, why not? That can stay in there like that. Okay, cool. She should say it's clobbering time when it starts to hit stuff on the anvil. Yeah. The piece looks a bit colder from the beginning of this time, judging from the brightness of the glow in the camera. So maybe further back in the forge is better. And it definitely is. But part of that also was that I was struggling to get it out of the forge. So sometimes that happens. I lost some heat there. I also lost some heat because I needed to, because the press went up further than I had anticipated it. So there's that. Unfortunately, you know. Sometimes it's hard working with steel and its temperament. Ugh. Annoying. Come on. Tip up. It does not want to tip up. Forge management sometimes sucks. And really, I think it's partially these tongs, because they don't meet at the tips, and there isn't a lot of like touching, so the billet keeps spinning in the tongs, so it makes it really hard to get it in and out. But yeah, we are gaining a lot of heat and losing the temper on our punch, because the press is pressing it down, and it makes contact with the hot metal for a lot longer when I'm using the press than it would if I were hand punching this thing. Is the bottom of the press leaching heat from the place? Yes, it does. It would, yeah. So yes, anytime the billet of steel is touching another object, specifically another metal object, that other object will leach heat away, right? So, and I mean, even the air around it. So, like, because I have an industrial fan here that blows on me so that I don't, like, fry in the shop, that will leach away heat. This bottom plate here leaches away heat. Um, the 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 punch that I use, that leaches away heat. So anytime that anything is touching, it is leaching heat away. So the less time I have things touching, the better. And so it's kind of like a balance. Um, I mean, I have to have it touching some stuff sometimes. So, I mean, yeah, we get a lot less work time at times, but we do the best we can. Okay, more water because I am frying today. I have a water jug back here behind the cameras. I don't have a lot of space in front of the camera, so unfortunately this has to live behind the camera, and I apologize for that. I feel like you guys should be able to like watch me, do everything that I do, but I'm also like, you shouldn't actually, or I shouldn't have to be. You guys can wait a few minutes while I'm refilling my water and that sort of thing. So it's just my head, I feel like I need to entertain the whole time. Preheat the press is in the microwave. Oh, preheat the press in the microwave. The DHMO dealer. Wada dealer. So yeah, as the longer that we work with the press, the more heat will be leached into this plate, and then it will leach less out of the brick itself. Um, so what that actually means is the longer that we go, or the longer that we use the press, the longer our heats will be able to be, because we're leaching less heat in general. I don't know if I said that in a way that is understandable. So if not, I will try to ruminate on it for a few, and let me know, and I will ruminate it on a few and try to rephrase it a little bit more understandably. Get a body cam. We can see everything. Energy moves from high energy state to a low energy state. Heat is energy. That is the case. Yeah. So as we go, this bottom plate will get hotter and hotter, and so as it equalizes with the block of steel, it leaches less. So yeah, we get more time because it's leaching less heat. So more heat stays in the brick. So I posted a new short today on YouTube, and I'm kind of experimenting. The short that I posted today is like 28 seconds long. So I'm kind of wondering if the really, really short will make it so that more people will watch it. So, because everybody has such a short attention span nowadays. I'm hoping that maybe I'll get a few more views. I also have been putting more fire in my shorts. Um, so, because I feel like my shorts just need more fire. When I'm just using shorts and I'm just standing here, that's less interesting than seeing all of the flames. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if it works. And the most entropy accumulates in Ray's laptop. It does, man. It does. Man, it was so super hot yesterday, or like on Wednesday when I brought the laptop in. It was super hot, and I was like, why is it so hot? And it wasn't even like it was non-functionally hot, because you know there's like the gaming laptops back in like the the early 2000s, like in 2005 or so. I had a laptop and it would get so burning hot that I couldn't like leave it on my lap, and it was not that hot, or like this laptop was not that hot, but it still didn't want to function correctly. So I don't know. I think it's just Windows trying to scrap or brick my laptop, because they want me to buy a new one, obviously. I'm forcing myself to watch more long form content. Thermodynamics is one of my most hated classes, along with zero chem or OChem. Organic chemistry, is that what OChem would be? See, I'm very interested in that sort of stuff. I love metallurgy. I've never put the money down to like take any metallurgy classes, but I have always been very interested to listen to people who talk about metallurgy, and to learn whatever I can from people who have taken the classes. I mean, there could be a time at some point that maybe I would take a metallurgy class, but it's kind of, I don't feel like it is completely necessary for the work that I'm trying to do right now. And, in the United States, it costs a lot of money to take classes at a collegiate level. I love both of those. Also, a cultural thing that people think of putting money down first when talking about classes. I mean, yeah, because it costs, like, depending on what school you're going to, it can cost upwards of $40,000 a semester here in the United States to take collegiate level courses at a university. And I know that's like absolutely outrageous, and people in Europe just like, they look at that and they just laugh, but it's so true. The highest amount of debt in the United States is student loan debt for people going to college right now. We have billions of dollars in debt that is from student loans, you know? So I feel like if I did want to go back to school for metallurgy, I would probably try and do a European or, another country's program. I hear that Germany has really low tuition even for non-residents. So, I mean, that's how I feel like I would go about doing that. I know it's incredibly expensive over there. Over here, you pay like 250 euros per semester. Ugh. Man, I wish. I wish. All right. Let's see if I can get this brick out of here. Fighting the steel. All right. Laptop's being funky again. I apologize for that. All right, which side do I want to do? Do I want to do this side, or do I want to do this side? I want to do this side. Oh, please, come on. It's being mean to me, this laptop. Alrighty. Of course, you still have to live, so studying still costs money, but not for the university, just for cost of living. And rent has gone up crazily here as well. Aber Dan Moose du Deutsch lernen. Now that was so, there are also classes in English. Yeah, I heard that it was relatively inexpensive to go to Germany for, extended education. So, like I said, there is a part of me that, would love to go to Germany or, another EU country and take some classes and, look at some history and travel around and stuff like that. But, that would also mean that I would have to leave my house and my friends and my family. I think there's a way that I could bring my pet. I still have a kitty to look after. I don't know. There's always a chance, but right now we're kind of, sticking around here for the time being. Let's see. So on that last heat, we got a lot of movement. So that the the punch. This is a punch. That's what this is. So the punch actually went further down in there, and you can definitely tell because that temper is that color of that temper is coming down further and further. So I'm thinking, we might actually get to a point where it starts getting a lot easier because as that inner or interior block of steel gets thinner and thinner, we're going to get a lot more movement because it's just not going to be as strong. There's not going to be as much material holding that little puck in there. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that we can finally get through this thing. Hey, Bluesy, welcome in. Did I miss your intro? I didn't see your intro. Welcome in, intro or no. Maybe move the press back up to the mark to save time during the heat. Did I move the press back? It is now lower than the mark. So it's all the way, or like we've got this much of an extension right now. So hopefully, I'm thinking that maybe I need to draw another mark down here. Because I think that it's gone further down. There's the bluesy intro. So you have to move it up during the heat, probably. I probably will, but hey, if there's no intro, am I really here? I mean, I don't know. Was it a ghost bluesy? Or was it I don't know. I wouldn't call it an after image, but maybe a pre-image, like the Flash or like really, really fast characters when they like run at high speeds, you can kind of see like little after images of where they used to be. And, if you slash at them, they're not there anymore. So I don't know. Is that still an after image? Maybe a pre-image? I think it was too low now as it keeps moving down while you were removing the piece. Yeah, sort of recognition. Okay. Well, if I need to raise it just a hair, we can do that, like so. So we raised it just a little bit. And then we've got it nice and locked in. So hopefully we'll be able to get the piece of steel under the press in a timely fashion. All right, I'm gonna flip it in the forge real fast. There we go. All right. My wedge fell out and it's sitting on the front of that of the table right now, and so the bricks are starting to shimmy back and forth. It's a little bit difficult, but I would have to allow the forge to cool down before I could stick that wedge back in there. So I think we're just gonna have to live with it for a little while. Precognition. But yeah, we're starting to get to the point where it's only about yay thick um, left in there. So hopefully we can get that all the way out today. And then we'll be able to start working on some of the other processes today. That is my goal. I also want to turn it into a cross peen hammer. I don't know if I told you guys that I want, or that my intention is to create a cross peen hammer with it. And this is a cross peen hammer. It's got that nice, like, really thin face. This guy is a 3-pound hammer, and so that brick is about 2 pounds. So I think we decided, or I decided that was about a gram. No, not a gram, a kilogram. And then the 3 pounds is just over a kilogram, so like maybe 1.5 kilos-ish. So I really want a smaller cross peen hammer. That's why we're kind of making, or like we're gonna try and make that into a cross peen hammer. Goodness gracious, it's hot. I don't like it being this hot, but I have worked when the temperature was hotter, so I guess I can live with it. You only have small hammers. A pound is 400 grams and a kilogram is 2.2 pounds. Okay. 1 kg equals roughly 2.2 pounds. Yeah, so this piece of steel is roughly, it's actually roughly a kilogram, so it's a little heavier than 2 pounds. But this guy right here is, greater than a kilo, so because it's a 3-pounder. And so I really want a less than 3-pound, a less than 3-pound cross-peen hammer. And I do have a couple, like these guys are cross-peen hammers, but these are like these are only a few grams each. These are like not even 1 pound. So, And this one, the head is all wonky, and this one is tiny, so I just want to make one. Oh, ads are disabled for 35 minutes. That's weird. Make one. Yes, we're definitely going to make one. So it looks like there are ads rolling right now. So, yep, ads. I just got some weird pop-up that says ads are disabled for 35 minutes, and ads just started, so I don't know. I think it just is the way it is. Maybe that's like just the regular, like, Maybe it does that normally and I just don't notice it. Back from ads. Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you guys are back. I'm very glad. Welcome back from ads. So I have been working on editing the video of us making this hammer eye drift. And I kind of noticed, or I did a little bit of grinding on it, and I kind of noticed while I was grinding that there's a little like dip up right here. So I need to put this guy back in the forge and kind of straighten him out again. I'll probably do that this weekend, and then I'll film it, and then I'll post it in the video. But I think it looks pretty decent. It'll work pretty nicely for the hammer eye drift that we need for this. That was kind of random, actually. I just sort of just did that, picked it up. I don't know. Not everything has to flow together and be a beautiful script. Does it drop a little? I don't know. I know that I'm getting a few frame drops here and there. And that is because my laptop is too slow to keep up rendering for OBS. And so I am getting quite a few frame drops here and there. I've noticed more and more as we keep going. I will be getting a new laptop in the next couple months. I don't know when, though. It depends on the van situation. We already discussed that, but once again, we may or may not be getting this van, and if we do, we'll probably be able to get the laptop sooner than later. If we have to take out a loan, it'll probably take a little bit longer to get a new laptop. All right, I'm going to do another heat. But I'm trying really hard. Droop, you might check out an optometrist. Oh, yeah. It does have a droop, and I probably do need glasses. I use reading glasses, and because OBS has been so funny, I haven't been able to use a larger font like I normally did for reading chat. So I feel like I need my reading glasses to read it. All right, and that's going down, so I need to come back up a little. Wait. It's in there weird. Goodness gracious. Well, that's lame. This one's kind of a crappy heat. I apologize, guys. There we go. But yeah, I do need reading glasses. I just can't, or I don't have a, I don't have a set of reading glasses that also function as safety glasses, unfortunately. One of these days, I will make sure that my reading glass, or I will get a set of reading glasses that actually function also as safety glasses. And then maybe I'll be able to read a little bit better. Lucy is lurking. All right. It's okay. We just do one more heat. Yes. Raiders of the Lost Heat. Lucy, thank you so much for that lurk. Thank you for your support. Oh, wow. I have a whole bunch of people who have followed me and I missed it. Wood Butcher Workshop, thank you so much for that follow. I'm Bordovic, thank you for that follow. Griff the Merciless, also thank you for that follow. Looney Moth, again, thank you all for that follow. I appreciate all of your support. Thank you so much for those. I need to pay more attention to the other box besides chat, which is the activity box. So I apologize for losing track of that today. Thank you all so much for all of your support. I greatly appreciate it. Like I said, you guys are what make this stream happen. I am always it takes me effort to get out here, but you guys, make me want to come out here. Your motivation. Thank you so much. Yay! Welcome. Welcome to the community. Welcome to the stream. But yes, it's so lovely being here with you guys today. Like I said, I was having a lot of trouble motivating myself to get out here. I was sitting here, and if I played back the recording of my microphone, because I record all of my dialogue so that I can match it with everything, and I don't have to have all of the pops from the receiver not doing it right. You would see, or you would hear me giving myself affirmative affirmations and encouraging myself to actually do this. So, and once I start the stream and you guys show up, I have no issue. I love doing this. It's just actually motivating myself to get out here in the first place. So thank you all. All right, what else is going on? I don't know, lots of stuff. Like I said, I'm honestly a little bit afraid today because I actually did not buy a new container of propane today. So I'm not sure how much propane we have left in this can. It might freeze up, and I don't have a new one to put in here. So I won't get that until Monday. But I think I have a few partial containers that if this decides that it's not going to heat anymore, we will be able to switch those containers. But it might be a little bit of extra effort. We might have to change a couple times because we are running on fumes in some of these older containers. So I apologize if I have multiple canister change outs today. We'll do our best. Hopefully we won't have to do that. This is the bad thing about propane. You can just shovel more coal in if you're using coal, but the propane, you definitely got to change it and change it back because it starts freezing up on you. My daily driver is a 2.3 pound. It was the second hammer I ever made in hammer making class with Big Dog Forge as my striker back in 2019. Ooh. See, this is my favorite hammer of all of my hammers. It is a 3-pounder, and it used to be my daily driver, and it kind of still is a bit. But this guy I inherited from my grandfather. He had it around because he did a little bit of do-it-yourself farriering because he ran a farm, and so when he was fixing things and messing with horseshoes and stuff, he needed a hammer, and so he had a hammer and an anvil, and this was his hammer. I did not get his anvil when he passed away. My biological father took that because my biological father was a farrier, or is a farrier. I don't know for sure if he is a farrier or was a farrier. And because I haven't seen him since I was 21, so that's almost 20 years. So yeah. Anyway, this is my favorite hammer, but it is not my daily driver anymore. This guy right here is usually my daily driver, but I need to rehandle this guy because I lost the wedge on it, and I put a new wedge in here, and then I lost that wedge, and when I looked to put a new wedge in it again, I realized that the face of this, like the piece of wood, it's all cracked. So no matter what wedge I put in here, it just won't stay. So I need a new handle. So one day, maybe we'll do a stream of making a new handle. Not sure if it's safe, but could you turn the propane bottle upside down? I heard they do not freeze up then because you take out the liquid phase from the bottom instead of gas from the top. I don't know. I'm honestly a little bit afraid to try, to be quite honest. Now, I know that I could submerge this guy in water and then it won't freeze. I don't really have a bucket that's big enough right now. Maybe I'll find one at some point. And it's so hot in here that it will take a lot to freeze it up. So I haven't had any trouble with it freezing up for, the last 2 streams. I'm hoping that it doesn't freeze up now. But like I said, I am a little bit afraid to try that, turning it upside down, because it would definitely change the pressure that is coming out of the hose. And I don't know. It worries me. That one worries me. I don't think I'm going to try it alone. Stuff like that, like new stuff with propane, I always try while my partner is home. Every time I light a brand new forge, every time I do anything that may explode at some point, until I'm confident with it, I won't do it alone. So that's kind of my stance on that. Do not do it. Yeah, I won't. I won't. It just does not sound like a very good idea to me. Safety is a very, very high concern for me here in the shop. I definitely want to make sure that I stay safe because it would be awful if something happened to me and you guys were like forced to watch it. Because what happens if that would be horrible, and I'm not going to subject you to that. So, well, I find in Google strongly opposes to the idea because the pressure control is not made to get the liquid phase, so better forget it. Yeah, the regulator is intended to master for gas and not liquid. Yeah, it definitely is, and I'm very aware of that. So you don't have to worry. I'm not going to do that. So what I am going to do is another heat. Oh, it looks like I bumped my camera. So let's move it this way. And while I'm at it, I'm going to refresh my clip. Okay. All right. Let's do this. Maybe let's do this. If I can get this piece of steel out of here, it would be amazing. There we go. Move it up just a hair because it's not quite. There we go. There. Ooh, you can totally see it going down. Like, I'm actually seeing this thing go down inside of that hole. It's increasing that size. I'm really excited about that. Now I'm going to bring this back over to the forge because it's stuck again. There we go. Definitely need to get a little bit of tool lube. So we'll look into getting a little bit of tool lube for our next thing. Okay. Apparently we are. There we went. So apparently we are losing a little bit of. Or I guess it's taking a little bit of extra time to change the cameras for whatever reason. So I apologize for that, guys. Alright, are you still going up? You are still going up. Let's see that. Awesome. Alright. I don't know. My laptop's being super slow. It is very frustrating for me, but all I gotta say is I'm working on it. Let's see. Looks like we still have plenty of heat going from the forge. It is starting to get a little bit colder, but I think it'll be all right. I'm gonna wait for it to start pumping a little bit, and then I will change out the pan. It's not too bad today. Not too many frame drops, I think. Okay. I wasn't sure. I do know that the latency, because like they give me a little latency bar at the top of my like I don't know stream monitor thingy in Twitch, and it's not or like it usually it's green and today it's red for some reason. I had plenty of internet when I left the house, so I don't know. I haven't had any issues at all whatsoever since the second time the ISP worker guy came and replaced everything. So, fingers crossed, knock on wood, we've got that problem taken care of. The regulator is, oh, wait, yeah. LOL. Losing track of where I am in the chat stream. Whew. I'm really excited to get this piece of, or like the plug out of here. It's gonna happen today. I'm 99% sure it's gonna happen today. There and like there's always a chance that something crazy happens and it doesn't happen today, but I am 99% sure that it will. So I'm really excited. I want to see that plug come out. I want to see what it looks like. The internet probably also freezes up at the nozzle when you put too much too quickly. I mean, yeah. You know what kind of nerd you're dealing with when you say may the force, and if the answer be with you or equals mass times acceleration. I mean, ain't that the truth? Unless you get somebody who answers both, you know? I don't know. I enjoy particle physics and Star Wars. It can be both. Ooh. Let's see if I can't stand this guy up. Maybe, maybe not. There we go. That'll work better. Yes. Yes. That's more like a classical mechanics, I would say. Nerd! Photos have mass. I didn't even know they were Catholic. Oh, protons. Yeah. We are on a maker's channel on Twitch. What do you expect? Yeah. I am totally a giant nerd about a lot of things. I mean, I don't know. I'm a geek and I'm a nerd. I'm very interested in mathematics, but I am also very interested in comic books and video games, right? Also, I'm not amazingly athletic, at least not in the traditional sense. Excuse me. Went down the wrong pipe. Gotta show your nerd card to make Twitch account. I know, right? That's what I get for inhaling my water. You know, I'm just drinking it so fast I'm inhaling it. Ugh. Sorry about that, guys. I always love it when I like inhale my water or like I let it dribble down my chin because there's a hole in my lip. That's what I get for trying to drink and talk at the same time. The danger of DHMO, thousands die each year from inhalation. They do, man. I don't want to drown. It would be the weirdest thing, though, to drown here in a blacksmith shop around all this fire and heat. That would be the weirdest thing. It would be an interesting headline, though. Blacksmith drowns amid forge and fire. Alrighty, I'm going to do another heat because I really want to get through this. Billions of property damage. I hear it was the leading cause of acid rain. Ooh, acid rain. That was a really bad thought. A very intrusive thought. I was like, I'm gonna hold on to this brick while I move this here so that the brick doesn't move. But you guys know that that's totally an intrusive thought because that would be a very burny brick. I don't want to do that. Rah! That was a little scary. Ooh, look at that. It's starting to really go down in there. That's exciting. Super exciting. Oh! So I don't know if you guys can see that, but you can see where the steel is starting to punch out on the other side. That's exciting. Super exciting. We're close. Oh, come on. Unlock. There we go. All right. I'm going to do this first. And fingers crossed, it actually does the thing. And we're going to go down a little bit further. Bring this down, bring this down. There we go. Okay. So, I don't know if you guys could see from the from the close-up, but you can see where the steel is now, or like the little block is punching upward. So I'm going to actually show you what that looks like real fast. So we're going to do this, and then I'm going to do that so that you guys can kind of not have to look at this while I'm moving this camera. But I definitely want to see or show you guys inside this hole. So as I focus this, you can kind of, let me see if I can. I'm sorry about all of the movement. But you can kind of see it punching up. So if I take the tongs, and I apologize because I think I just like, see, now you can kind of see what it looks like. See if I can't focus this, I apologize. I'm trying to do all the manual focusy stuff. Alright, so you can kind of see that there's like a little divot in there. And the other side is flat. And that happens, oh come on, because of it's starting to punch through. All right. It is shearing. That's what I was trying to show you guys. It is definitely shearing. So that's really, really exciting to see. I'm super happy with that. Now let's do all of our, especially special manual focusing because I'm trying to be all fancy schmancy with this stream nowadays. All right, let's heat up this brick again. But yeah, it's starting to shear and I'm really excited. Super excited. There we go. Much more better. Yay! Prolonged contact with the solid phase can cause several tissue damage. It is also a coolant in nuclear power plants and a solvent in chemical industry. Meanwhile, they found large quantities in lakes and rivers. I'm gonna assume that's propane, maybe. Is that a small crack I see on the side of the eye, or is it forge scale? It is forge scale. I think it is cracking a bit. Not sure whether that is a problem. I believe that it is forge scale. It is starting to develop quite a bit of forge scale. I will take a look at it again if I need to, but I don't actually see any cracking. But I don't know. Maybe you guys are, seeing something that I wasn't paying attention to because I was looking through the lens of the camera. I will take a look. More water. I will be right back. I'm going to run through all my water today. I feel like I'm running through it, like sweating it through it today. But yeah. I remember watching a thing they did on a college campus where they put a petition to ban DHMO and listed all the hazards that we were discussing here in chat. Also got an ad. No backseat forging, please. I mean, there are, I don't mind you guys giving me advice and things like that, but there are, I will give you, because I see a little bit more information than you guys do, and so if I, if it's good advice, I'll take it. If not, I'll explain why it is, I'm not going to take that advice, if that makes sense. But yeah, I appreciate that. I am not the end all be all blacksmith. I'm okay at it. Sometimes even pretty good at it. But I mean, I'm always up for professionals to help me out. People who are mestas. Welcome back, Sandwich. I mean, there is a point where I will be like, okay, guys, I need to, tone it down a little bit. But, overall, I think, so far, I think it's all right. Maybe the intention is not what I think it is, but, as long as everybody's nice around, It was an experiment at some point to show that you can frame things in a way you want and get people to think what you want them to think. You're pretty good. Thanks, Boston. I appreciate that compliment. But yeah, I am far from a master blacksmith. There are so many people who are much better than me. I feel like I'm just good enough to be dangerous at it, So, but my goal as a blacksmith on both Twitch and on YouTube is to give you guys a basic overview and then send you off to people who are near you that you could actually get hands-on experience with, who are master blacksmiths. So I will always point to people, in Havana or Baba or, the European Blacksmith Associations and things. So yeah, I mean, I do the best I can, and like I said, I am seeing things that you guys probably aren't seeing, but I'm open to constructive criticism. I cannot even front seat blacksmith. The two I use professionally is a keyboard, the tool, because I can read sometimes. So yeah, I want people to be comfortable here. I also will not tolerate, like mean people either. So, you guys aren't mean though. At least I don't think you're mean. In this case, you could read, but I could not type. Oh, okay. Like I said, the chat is really little today because for whatever reason, the little boxes that normally come up on my OBS are refusing to come up. And I'm not entirely sure because I looked under the docs because there's a bunch of drop down menus and there's one for docs, and that's usually how you restore all of the little docs that go away when you accidentally click them, but they aren't there anymore. They are missing from the docs drop down and from the tray. Nope, I did not miss anybody else. All right, we are going to do another heat. And so I am going to put us on the other camera, but it's going to take me a little bit to get over there because I want to look for this crack. I want to see if I just didn't notice one. I think there's a plugin or something that does text to speech for Twitch chat, so you don't have to keep leaning in to read. Yeah, there is one. However, I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm just, I don't know. I don't know that I like that. All right, so this is taking me a while to get this out of here because reasons. There we go. I'm gonna grab a hold of it. All right, let's take a look at this. Yeah, there are no cracks here. There are no visible cracks. To my eye. There are a few inside the hole. However, those are supposed to be there. All right, so we're gonna bring down the press again. There we go. Starting to go up just a hair. Secure that better. Move the camera. Move the camera, Crunk. Okay. All right, excellent. So for our next heat, what I'm actually gonna do, and I'm gonna move this guy over here, is I am actually going to do my next heat at the anvil. Because I think this is really, gonna happen. There's some weird scale, but that's not a crack. So yeah, we're gonna do our next heat here on the anvil. So I'm gonna move the camera here in a second. We're gonna put this back in the heat first though. All right. Moving cameras. Moving cameras. Focusing cameras. Focusing cameras. There we go. And I definitely want to record this if it comes out. So this guy is going to come over here. This guy can go over there. That guy can go over there. And we're good to go. What am I missing? That's a relief. Be awesome if someone invented robotic hands that could handle the forge while you could forge. And you can forge while still in the heat remotely. That would be so cool. And I think there are ways that you could go about doing that. You'd have to be really careful about what you made those little robotic hands for if you were doing it directly in the forge. There are like some cameras and things that are like super duper expensive that are designed to get really close up to like stars and things like that. You could almost make those robotic arms out of like an alloy like that. But the problem is that any alloys that we're using inside the forge are going to get really nice and malleable in there because that's the whole point, right? It would be cool though. All right. But yeah, there are no cracks in that piece of steel, and there is a really stuck on there piece of scale that it's really thick, and it kind of does look like a crack, but it is not actually a crack. It is a piece of scale. So we will be able to grind that off on the bench grinder if we need to, um, or it might fall off at some point in the future as we are continuing to create this piece. Mm. So we are at the hour 45 mark. So we've got a good amount of time left in the stream. So I'm hoping that we can get this plug out of there, and then we can actually start thinking about how we want to go about making more pieces, or more of this hammer. So I'm thinking that we might start working on the cross peen area, because I don't really feel like I need to isolate out that head. I think I can just squish it in, and I think I need a new tool, like a piece of like a new tool for a spring fuller tool to do the separation of the head and, or the face and the hole. That was a mouthful. So I think the next thing that we're going to do is the cross peen, because I feel like I don't need to isolate the cross peen from the hole like I would the face of the hammer. What I mean are some potential concentric circles around the hole. I guess they don't matter. There are cracks inside the hole, and those are because we are moving that material up and down. That is it. It is the shear force, so that we can get that little plug out of there. So that's what that is. We want those cracks. Is it easier to punch the eye versus flattening out the stock and folding it over to create the eye? It depends on your goal. If I folded the stock over, then I wouldn't really have a back edge, or I wouldn't have a back face to it. So the folding over method it works a lot better for an axe than it does for a hammer. And because this time we're making a hammer, we want to punch it as opposed to folding it, if that makes sense. Yep. I want to see this go all the way through. I want to see all the way through the daylight through that hole. I'm really looking forward to it. Super looking forward to it. I'm thinking about using this to get the plug out, because this is our drift, and it would also function for that purpose. But I don't think I'm going to do it. I might think about doing it again later if it's not working the way I want it to. We shall see. We shall see. I'm going to move around the steel in this forge because it's still a little on the cold side. It's not getting as hot as I want it to right away. Oh, come on. Don't be stupid. There we go. There we go. That'll work. For the moment, I wonder if folding would work for a dog head hammer, but I wonder if the force of that hammer would break the forge weld. I want to see daylight through the hole. I want to see sunlight only warmer. Yeah. So I don't know. Honestly, I don't think I have ever seen anyone forge a hammer or like forge weld a hammer. Now, an axe is not taking quite as much pressure as a hammer would. And I mean, because a forging hammer is hammering on like steel, and it's a little bit, I don't know. I just kind of feel like the wood that an axe is going through is not going to put as much pressure on a forge weld as a hammer, especially if you're using it on cold metal. So yeah, I just have never seen anybody forge weld. Well, I mean, I guess I have seen people forge weld faces on hammers. So that might be, I mean, so theoretically you could wrap it around and forge weld a face on the back. I don't know if you would want to, but it is theoretically possible. I know Damascus exists for hammers, though. Propane bottle icing are an indication that you are drawing the gas off too quickly. It takes energy for the propane in liquid form to turn into gas. Also needs room to happen. That is why propane bottles are only ever 80% full. That makes sense. Now we have to do it for science. The answer to propane icing is either a bigger diameter bottle or 2 bottles applying the same appliance. Yeah, and I am aware of the fact that I need 2 bottles or a bigger bottle. I just use the pigs because it's easier for me to deal with the pigs than it would be to deal with the bigger tanks. Because I get to exchange the pigs. These are the 20-pound propane tanks. So these tanks are kind of rented. So I give back the tank and get a different tank that's full. So I don't have to maintain the appliances on them. So that's a lot easier for me than having to maintain the hardware on the top. So that's why I do it the way I do it. It would be cheaper for me in the long run to get a bigger bottle, but right now it's just not what I want to do. So that's why I use the 20-pounders. So get a pigtail kit that supplies the regulator from 2 smaller bottles. I mean, I could. And it's a lot easier to get a hold of them than it used to be, but I started blacksmithing before that kind of stuff was common, and it was hard enough just to find a high pressure regulator in the first place, let alone a splitter as well. So I don't know. It's just not something I've thought about in a while. All right. I use a 100-pound tank, but it's a pain in the butt to load out of my van. I might get a 20-pound tank too, though. Yeah, that's another reason why I tend to use the 20-pounder instead of the 100-pounder. I could replace these bottles on my own as opposed to having my partner help me. Oh, I know why this is being a pain. That guy's been slowly closing on me. Come on. You want to come out of here. Yes, you do. All right. I don't think we're ready for this step yet. I think we need a little bit more time under the press. All right, let's grab this piece of steel before it's... Woo, look at that. Fire, fire everywhere. All right. I'm going to put you back in the flame, and we will do another heat in a few. There we go. All right. I hate that it does that. Putting bottles in water does help. It increases the surface area for the heat to absorb, which is where the liquid gas gets the energy to change states. If you put the bottle in the fire, would that help with the icing? It definitely would, but it would also floaty. We would have quite the, excitement going on. And I think that would be the end of the Ray Smithy stream. So non-smithing related question. What music do I like? The music that I like, actually, when I am on my own in the shop and listening to music, I really love techno music. I tend to use or to forge to trance music because it has a very heavy bass line, and it's good for regulating my hammer stroke. But then I also listen to pop music. My favorite artist for pop music is Taylor Swift, so I'm one of those. For sure, it will resolve a lot of problems in general and potentially create some others. Yes, explosions. Putting the bottle in the fire. It would be content, but that would definitely be the last content you guys would see from me. So I would rather not. I would rather retire on my own terms. There are people on the internet who do this science, so we don't have to. Yes. Yes, yes. So yeah, I will leave that to other people. Even the water is getting warm. I think after today, I'm going to bring the jug of water in the house and clean out the jug. That way, it's all nice and clean for me next week, and it won't be warm anymore. You might lose the deposit on the bottle. Yeah. I guess the Mythbusters have blown up pretty much everything that can be blown up in all kinds of ways. I mean, yeah, but there's still room for other people to blow stuff up. You just have to be very careful about how you do it with professional pyrotechnics, or professionals in the pyrotechnic space, so that you can do it incredibly safe. Do not do it on your own. Heck, I will tell you, do not light a propane forge unless you know what you're doing and you're very comfortable with it. I do this every day, but I am a professional and I do this every day. So, be safe, guys. Be safe, be safe. I would hate to find out that one of you guys was not safe and you injured yourself in a horrible way. All right. So we are going to go back over to the press for our next heat. So I'm going to move the camera over there and whoops, and I can kick it. That's going to be edited out of the final piece. So yeah, we are going to move the camera again. There we go. We are now ready to go. And change the camera. And I'm going to hit record on that. I am pretty sure this forge does not comply with DIN EN 298. It definitely, I built this forge, so it definitely does not comply with, safety standards necessarily. I do recommend, if you are going to use a propane forge, that you buy one that does comply with safety standards for your area. But like I said, when I started blacksmithing, it wasn't nearly as popular as it is now. You couldn't just go onto Amazon and buy a forge. Now you can. So I mean, do that over building one. This is my third forge that I have built, so I have some idea of what I'm looking for and how to go about doing it. So just don't be stupid, I guess. The European norm for safety of gas firing devices. Safety is the first one on site and the last one to leave. PPE, yes. Yes, OSHA and all that. I try to keep my safety, or to keep their safety in mind as I am smithing all the time. And but there is a point in which safety becomes a detriment. So it's a balance. You have to get your work done, but you also need to be safe about it. So I always tell people, you will get cuts, you will get burns if you decide to be a blacksmith, but you can minimize how bad those burns are and how often those are by being safety conscious. Speaking of safety, have you ever had an incident with your long hair and the forge? No, actually. I keep my hair tied up in a, um, in a ponytail, and every so often it flips to one side or the other, and anytime that I feel it flipping to the front, I always move it back around to the back. And so I've really never had an issue with my long hair. However, I have burned my bangs off. I used to have a curtain of bangs that I would wear in the front, and they melted. And so ever since then, I grew them out, and I don't allow my beauticians and barbers to cut bangs in my hair. Because that's a bad idea. It smells awful. But that sounds scary. I have seen people who have set their hair on fire. It is not pleasant. You have to be very, very careful. I think I've seen more beards catch fire than hair, though. That sounds scary. It would be scary to have your beard catch on fire. I have caught my clothing on fire and my boots on fire occasionally. That's also scary. But I mean, I'm not afraid of fire. I have a healthy respect for it. I know that if I set myself on fire, that I need to immediately, stop, drop, and roll, or put it out. But I'm much less likely to panic, I think. I had to explain to one of my staff why they should put their hair up when using a rotary equipment. She didn't want to listen till I showed her the video. Ooh, man, I've seen that too. Rotary tools and hair do not mix. Mm. I'm not going to be able to drink that anymore. I'm going to have to go in the house and get a Gatorade that's cold And I'll probably do that here in a second. So I will be right back, actually, while the ad is still going. And some of you can probably still hear me. Yeah, it's warm. It's getting to the point where it's hard to swallow it because it's at root, or it's at the same temperature as the inside of my mouth. All right, so we should be back from ads. Well, they do mix, and that does not end well. They do mix. You're right, they do mix. They definitely mix. I have actually lost some hair to a rotary machine. It was a rotary polisher in the jewelry, but it was like the tiniest lock of hair. It was probably about 20 hairs, like individual hairs. So like it hurt, but it wasn't like I didn't get a giant bald spot or anything. So, you know, you be very careful with rotary equipment and fire or flaming equipment and hair. Secure your hair and clothing. 20 hairs is a learning experience. It definitely is, man. It definitely is. I never let that happen again after that. Man, it really does not like my camera one today. I apologize for that. It keeps delaying. Let's see if I can pick this back up. We'll do that. And I'm going to put this guy here. And then do this. So you can definitely see here that it keeps bulging out the same, or like exactly the way that it came. So we're going to focus on the deeper section, which is this guy, and in hopes that we get it all the way through. All right, so camera one does not want to show up. Okay, why doesn't camera one want to show up? All right, I guess it did that time. I hardly ever use rotary equipment, and I'm still getting a bald spot. What am I doing wrong? Use the rotary equipment to apply a Rogaine. In my case, genetics and getting old. The dangers of testosterone, I guess. There are a lot of men that have, that bald, unfortunately. But it's not like it's terribly bad. There are a lot of men out there who actually look pretty good, balding and bald. I mean, look at Patrick Stewart. They also have some very convincing toupees out there nowadays. Gone are the weird rubs of the 80s. You know, you can actually like glue them onto your head so that you can even wash them and style them. Mr. Clean. Yeah, Mr. Clean is also very attractive. I think. He's supposed to be attractive. All right, so this is about the time where we're going to have to change the propane tank. Because it's starting to freeze up. Oh, it's like mostly empty. That's why. It's not even frozen. It's just empty. The heat from the area is has oh, I'm making the thing bigger and not smaller. Has melted all of the ice. That's how ridiculously hot it is in here. The propane tank can't even freeze. Alright. Put that over there. Move this. Ooh, this guy is really light too. This is probably the emptiest propane tank I have ever used. Here's one. We'll use this one. This one's pretty heavy. Probably a good amount there. Alright, that's the right regulator. I have two regulators over here, so I have to be a little bit careful that I, do the right one. Because I've got the regulator for both the Big Forge and the mailbox right now over here. I was really hoping that we get to use the mailbox for this guy, this hammer, because it doesn't pump out as much ambient heat. Unfortunately, no dice on that. Alrighty, there's that. I'm gonna open this tank. Maybe. Probably. My hands are all sweaty. There it goes. It's been cracked. Alright, we're good on that. Let's see, can we do it this way? Yes, we can. Normally I try not to do it that way. I try to actually actively light it, but there is a lot of ambient heat inside there and it didn't cool down quite as fast as it normally does, so we were able to light it off of the ambient heat in there. That's a good thing. The devil lost his wig. There will be hell to pay. Let's say flexing the bald issue would not make me a model. The 100-pound tank going empty is a painful feeling, knowing how much propane per gallon around here is. $3.50 a gallon here, and knowing that I have to drag it out of my garage. Yeah, see, I'm lucky in that propane is just over $1 a pound. And since these are 20-pound tanks, I pay between somewhere, depending on where I get it from, somewhere between $21 and $25. So I am lucky. The place that I used to get coal from, though, I was getting bags of 50 pounds of coal for about $15 a bag. And I found that a bag, or a 50-pound bag of coal was about the same amount of work time as a 20-pound pig of propane. So, at that time, coal was cheaper. But right now, that location no longer sells coal. So I have to find a new coal drop location. It's around $90 to fill up the 100 pounds. Yeah, it's about 85 here. Well, yeah, it's about 85, so I don't know. Maybe it is cheaper. I don't know. Super warm today. Super, super warm. Can you make your own charcoal from wood and low O2 environment? I am capable of doing that. However, I just don't have a lot of like wood around me. So I can't just go around and cutting down people's trees. And so I mean, firewood, it costs a lot of money around here to buy firewood. And I just don't have a good source of wood to turn into charcoal. So it's just easier for me to use propane or coal in this area. Now, if coal was no longer available and like I just couldn't get propane, I would definitely find a way to, find a tree trimmer or somebody. But right now, I don't have a good source of wood. So yeah, I think once this hole goes all the way through, we're probably going to end the stream. It's just taking a little bit longer than I thought it was. I apologize for that, guys. I really was hoping that we'd be able to start into some other pieces or like some other processes today. Anywhere nearby that throws away a lot of pallets or woodworking shop that gets rid of scraps. Around here there are so many pallet wood like pallet wood artists and upcycler people that you actually have to pay 25 bucks a pallet now. Yeah. The forge glow looks brighter now, so I would expect that the piece is to be hotter now. Yes, the piece is definitely hotter now. Definitely. And like I said, there was like no propane left in that tank. It was like it didn't even freeze up. There was just no propane in it. So that's why it was starting to cool down in there. So now I've got plenty of propane. We're good to go again. So yeah, I am gonna do another heat though because you're right. It is hot. It's nice and hot. And it's delaying again. That's driving me up the wall. Why does it keep doing that? Anger. Oh, come on. There we go. I want it this direction or this direction? I want it this direction. I need that, and then I need to move this up a hair. And we'll do that. And then we'll do this. Oh, come on, get out. There it went. I can live there for a moment. And I'm dropping everything, man. Ugh. Dropping everything. There's that. There's that. Maybe or maybe not. There we go. I heard some cracking. I'm kind of looking at our press, or I mean at our punch. I think it's all right. It's at least all right for our purposes. All right. So I just need to make sure that this guy goes in there straight on the next hole, and I think it will actually go all the way through. I hope it'll go all the way through. Theoretically, it should. See if I can't stick this guy in there. Maybe, maybe not. Nope, I can't. Not this time. Okay. Whew. Crazy. Getting tired. There's a spot in Iowa State University that is a graveyard for busted pallets, and it's free for public taking. I was in there a bit cooked, and the handle became bent. That might have been it. It does look like there's some crackage on the handle itself, like right along in here. And it was in there bent. So I will have to be a little bit more careful on our next heat, and I may end up having to rehandle that guy. It was a little bit on the dry side, so I'm not terribly surprised that it cracked. We'll do what we can to save it. I'll see if I can't save it. Super hot. So I need to get this thing through soon because I'm starting to get really tired. So hopefully it only takes 1 or 2 more heats to punch all the way through. If not, I will do the finishing touches over the weekend because I need to go in the house. I'm starting to get too tired and hot to be out here, and I just want to make sure that I am not like overheating. So I will do my best to get the slug out in the next 2 heats. But I think 2 heats is going to be the maximum I can really be out here. So I apologize for that if it doesn't go all the way through. Nothing a little duct tape can't cure. Doesn't move? Yes, it should move. No, it should move. The handle on this guy. So this guy is a pressure fit. So there's no, or if you can see that, there's no. So if you look at this, there is a wedge in there. But if you look at this guy, there is no wedge. So this is just a pressure fit piece. So it should still be good. It will move back and forth, and that's by design. So in theory, it should still be good. But there is a little bit of a crack, so I'll have to take a look at it and make sure that it is not a crack that is a catastrophic failure point. No need to apologize. Your health comfort is more important. Yeah, thank you for that. I always overthink things. I always overthink things. Alright, I'm going to flip this piece around. You say, think I'm going to flip this piece around? Maybe? Probably. So hot. fighting. All right, well, that's going to be in there like that. You probably do not have a swing punch, so it does not have to be as firm as a hammer, I guess. Yeah. I'm the king of overthinking everything. I am very much I have like, I don't know, a little bit of anxiety, but not like a really bad amount of it. Not like clinical, like I need pills or anything for it, but I have a tendency to overthink things a lot. All right. That's 3 of these guys and a Gatorade in 2.5 hours. It's a scorcher. Yeah. And it fell off again. It's because of the airflow from the fan. The curse of being a creative maker. Yes, exactly. I feel like everybody who's a maker is like that to an extent. All right, that's better. Much more better. Soon we'll be able to do our next heat. Hopefully we'll be able to get it all the way through. It is starting to move quite a bit, back and forth and back and forth. So if I just keep on keeping on the deep end, it should, in theory, just go all the way through. Gravity is tilted today. What happened? Gravity is tilted today? Did something happen? Oh, duh. You guys are commenting on my bottle falling over. I am a smart person. My first thought was like that the camera started drooping or something. I don't know. All right. I am going to do another heat now, and we will see. We'll see what I can do. I am, like I said, I'm having a lot of trouble with camera 1 today. It's not wanting to. So I think it's starting to be temperamental and fussy. I don't know if it's the laptop OBS or the camera, or I mean, I guess the capture card. All right, there it is, firmly in place and straight. Take a look at that, guys. Take a look at that. That is exactly what we want to see. We're getting there. There is a shot. We have a shot at pushing that out. Super exciting. Camera number 1 is being number 2. It is. Look at that. It's not even like flipping. There it goes. Definitely moved that time. It must be getting closer. It definitely is. I don't know if you guys saw that, but it is definitely moving. If I look at this on the opposite side, it's already ripping through. So we're definitely going to see it moving on our next heat. I think it'll pop all the way through. So I'm really excited about that. All right, let's put this back under the heat. If it doesn't do it under the press, it will definitely do it under the hammer, or like under a hammer. Boom. One more heat, yes, exactly. One more heat, one more heat. I guess I'm gonna drink out of this. I don't know. Oh, like I said, this water is the same temperature as the inside of my mouth. Gross. Ugh. But there's still some water in there, and you know, it'll flush out my kidneys. So I guess I need to keep on drinking it. It won't be long. I got one more heat, and then I'll be able to go in the house and get some cold water. And take a shower and, you know, cool off in the air conditioner. Can we demand an encore by chanting one more heat, one more heat? I mean, I have one more heat, you know, I'm doing an encore. One more heat. But I feel like if I allowed you guys to demand an encore, then it would just be like my last raid team. My last raid team used to, like when we were really hitting a boss that we just could not kill, we would be like, one more pull, one more pull, one more pull. And then sometimes we would be doing that for like hours. And it would be like an hour to 2 hours beyond our scheduled time. So I just I can't do that. I can't let you, you know, yell encore. That's basically how the propane freezes up. Manifesting the next heat to punch through. Yes, I hope it does. It should. It should. Like, I can actually see the shear inside of the hole. So it should. It should shear. Come on. Be nice. Alright, that can stay like that. Gotta wait for it to heat because it was pretty cold when I put it in there. The plug seems to be such a boss. Yeah, it's being stupid. Right now it is my boss. But yeah, as this will be the last heat, if you guys have any suggestions for who you would like to raid, let me know. Otherwise, I will pick someone to raid. I think the guy yesterday was pretty cool. He was streaming when I first started. So I don't know if he's still streaming. So if you guys don't have anyone specific that you want to raid, then I'll find somebody and we'll find some more new friends. The suspense on Forged in Fire. It would probably go on commercial right as the plug punches out. It definitely would. That's kind of how that works. They like to really manufacture drama for that show. I don't think they're making it anymore. Are they? And I just don't know it? I swore they stopped making that show. One more heat. One more heat. I jinxed it. Ads. Yes. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I didn't realize the ads were coming or I would have delayed them. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. At least it was humorous. Goodness gracious. It's like we got about 10 seconds. Okay, we are back. I apologize for that, guys. I had no idea that we were that close to ads. Um, so otherwise, I would have just like delayed them. I apologize for that. I need to pay more attention to my ad timers. I do. Whew. All right. Almost done. Let's do this. One more heat. Okay. It did its thing. All right, cool. Come on. Be a good little piece of steel. I gotta bring it up just a hair. I apologize. It wasn't straight. Ugh. It says no. Look at that. Look how close that is. That should have worked. Look at that. Come on. I need to get you off of the punch. There it goes. Do this real fast, and it's not being nice. Oh, it's off, but it's not all the way off. So close. No. It's not wanting to go. Whew, gross. You can totally see that right there. It's coming out. I will get it out. We'll get it out, I promise. Save it for Monday? Oh, do you guys want me to save it for Monday? It seems the shock of a hammer blow would do it, except it's not. I think I need to heat it up one more time. So if you guys want me to, I will save this for Monday, and that will be the first thing that we do. There are cracks in this guy, and it will go. I just have to like be a little bit more patient. We've got to heat this up one more time. It's just gonna shear. So I mean, I guess I'll save it for Monday, and that'll be the first thing that we do. Alrighty. Super close. That would be great. Awesome. Is this the famed jumping hammerhead I've heard so much about? It definitely is, man. It definitely is. Alright, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. But I am absolutely exhausted and I need a shower. So I will see you guys on Monday. Have an amazing weekend. Such a shame about the cracks. Good game, Ray. Have a good weekend. Yes, you guys too. Have an amazing weekend. Take care. All right. Who is on? I don't know who's on. We're taking a look. We're going to have to find someone new. New friends. New friends, new friends. Maybe. If the laptop will let me. Ooh, woodworking. That sounds cool. Let's do some woodworking. I am going to turn off this forge because it's being stupid. Alrighty.